Welcome and welcome back. Another day, another reveal, and this time we actually have two, so let's talk about it. This time around, we got ourselves one relic and one echo boss. So I want to start with the relic, because we have a little more information on that one. Here it is, just right here, Tier 2 Woodsman. Now this thing has a lot of different features to it, so I listed them all out here. I've got a visual way to keep track of this that I'll show you in a second. But what this is going to be doing is any of your chopped logs can be auto-burned. There's a toggle for this, so if you don't want to have that, you want to keep them in the bank, that's totally fine. It's going to allow you to process your inventory with fletching actions either all at once in the case of things like unstrung longbows, stringing longbows, whatever. Or if it's a stackable thing, it's going to be 10 times more actions per click. So think about like darts. Normally you would do 10 per click. Now you're going to get 100 per click. So it's going to make fletching a lot faster. And we've also got a big buff to Hunter coming from this one. 100% success rate on any of your traps, and it's going to be faster to lure them. That's going to help, I think, especially in the early game with things like the birds, which are going to be really annoying as you're trying to get your Hunter level up. You're going to get 2 times the XP and the loot can be auto-banked whenever you're picking up your trap. There is a toggle on the auto-bank feature, so if you wanted to keep it in your inventory, you totally could. Every time you collect a trap, it's going to give you either an herb seed or a tree seed. It does not do both, but you'll get either or. Rumors are going to give double XP and loot, and then impling jars are going to give double XP and loot, and also noted loot. Plus, we've got our little Quetzal whistle up here. It is not going to have any of its charges ever deplete, so that's kind of a nice passive on this. So it's a lot of text, a lot of features, a lot of things going on, I know. That's why I've got this little visual representation here of, like, what exactly does this solve? Or at least, what is it trying to solve? And I do have a lot of thoughts on this relic, because we start in Barlamore. So, I mean, there's just a lot that Barlamore does for us, and I don't know how good this relic really is going to feel. So let's really dig in. We're starting with Veil Totems. This is the fletching minigame that exists in Barlamore. Now, I think in general, Veil Totems is really strong when it comes to fletching XP. Yes, being able to process your whole inventory at once is going to be beneficial, I think, especially early on, because the early tiers of totems, they don't last as long, and so you don't end up getting to place quite as many of them. With something like this, you can much more easily, like, get everything prepped in your inventory and just spend your time running around the totems themselves. It's not going to be, like, as good as the high-level stuff, but I do think it gives you at least a little bit of a bonus here. But we do also have to be careful, because if you're trying to do this like one inventory at a time with your logs, it's really going to screw up the timing, because if you use this and it fletches all of your logs into unstrung bows, now you're missing logs to build the totems, so you have to be kind of careful with this. So I'm not sure that I love the interaction there. You could pre-prep all the materials, I suppose, and then you kind of get around this, but that might also mess up your timing, I think, especially with like the higher end logs, because normally you would do a lap around. So it's not like a super clean interaction, I think. I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure it's going to mess up the timing for this minigame specifically. And I also wanted to showcase the rewards that this thing gives. As you're collecting like the reward leaf piles from doing this minigame, which you are essentially going to have to do anyway, because there's going to be points associated to it, I'm sure. So like, you're going to pull bird's nests that have seeds, and you're going to pull just seeds in general. Now, the seeds scale with your fletching level, so I don't actually know that you want to go quickly through the lower levels, because you're going to get worse rates at things like the lower level trees for your farming. So I actually almost wonder if that's a little bit of a negative for yourself, but I digress. These tree seeds here, this is for like the mid tier if you're at 65 fletching. So just to give you kind of a perspective. So you're getting a lot of tree seeds, among other things here, from this fletching minigame. And given sort of like how it messes with the flow that comes with this minigame, and the minigame itself already gives a ton of fletching XP, I kind of think it devalues the fletching XP associated to this relic. You could call me crazy. I could see someone looking at this the other way and saying, you know what, it gives me a lot of fletching XP. I can do the high-level logs faster now. So yes, that is true. I don't think it's that strong of a benefit. Tell me I'm wrong. But moving on to the hunter side of this relic. So obviously we've got hunter rumors in Barlamore. Everyone's going to have access to this. So the double loot and faster capture is definitely going to be a plus. Hunter creatures in general are pretty annoying to catch. And something to keep in mind as well with hunter rumors, They do scale as you do harder and harder tasks. These rates will change on things, but essentially you're getting like prayer XP, a little bit of the raw hunter meats, and also the herbs. Now, I'm a little mixed on how much this actually devalues the herb seed side of this relic, but truthfully, I don't think you really want to spend a lot of time farming herbs, so this is probably a net positive for herb lore. And I mean, hunter rumors are almost certainly going to have points associated to them anyway, so this is again another thing that you're going to be doing, but unlike the fletching minigame, it's pretty much just positives here. Now, on the Impling loot side of things, it's also pretty interesting because Implings, they can be annoying to catch. So the 100% success rate is going to help you a lot with that. And we are going to have access to Puro Puro. So finding Implings, I don't think is going to be difficult. It may be for like the higher tier Implings. It really depends on how much competition there is and what the spawn rates look like on these. But Implings are typically really good for clues. So I think that is a positive for this relic because it makes farming for clues a lot easier, especially for the early ones. You can get easies from gourmets and you can get mediums from eclectics. Those have permanent spawn points in Puro Puro, so you're not having to worry about competition when you're catching these. For these other two, ninjas for hordes, dragons for elites, I question how much we're going to be able to catch these high-level implings, just because if people take this and there are tasks associated to it or whatever, there might be a lot of competition, especially early on in the league, which granted, these are high-level implings, so you're probably not doing this like day one, but you could. I mean, this gives a lot of hunter XP from this relic. And also, while I'm on the topic of implings, they do have other drops as well. So these higher tier ones, they're going to be really good for gold. They're also, you're going to get some crafting supplies a little bit from magpies and ninjas. The dragon implings, they also give dragon bones and dragon darts, among other things, so those could be nice. All the alchemies, of course, with these. And nature implings, giving you seeds, herb seeds. So again, I don't think like the hunter trap herb seeds are going to be super useful for you because you have better options anyway, but I digress. We've also got the Gourmet Impling, which maybe you want to use this for food. The Gourmet Imp can be had pretty quickly, and it goes up to sharks. So I don't know how big of a benefit or how much you're really going to need to do that. Probably depends how much gold you have, because we can get Karambwans in Karamja from the shop. So you have some other ways of doing that. But if we don't end up with a power that like notes things from shops, then this would probably be really good. So, okay, with all of that considered, we've got fletching a little smaller, we've got farming a little smaller, because I think with the tree seeds, with some of the seeds that you're pulling from implings, it's not as big of a deal coming from this relic. Hunter, you get a stay, you're big. Herblore, I'm actually making you a little bit bigger, because I think the hunter rumors are going to do a lot for you, and I also added these couple of clues. Now, the last thing to keep in mind is on the fire making side. Of course, if you go Karen, you've got Winter Todd. The fire making is almost entirely useless unless you plan to train it like AFK maybe with Endless Harvest, or Barbarian Gatherer, potentially. But also keep in mind, we have bonfires, and bonfires were updated so that they give full XP. So yes, it's kind of slow to chuck your logs in from your inventory, but I mean, it's going to give you like somewhere between 3 and 5 minutes of AFK, I think, and give you the full XP on the logs. So I don't know how much I love the fire making passive on this, with the exception of the AFK side. I get it, if you want to train fire making AFK to 99, go for it. If that's not you, I mean, honestly, if you took Barbarian Gathering, you probably aren't going to be AFK anyway. So I think this is very, very specific. So I'm making fire making a little bit smaller. And let me rearrange these to make it a little prettier looking. Okay, so this is what I really think this relic is going to give us. Now, this makes me think that we're going to get a similar spread of skills from the other relics that are in this tier. And if that's the case, I don't think any of these are particularly hard to train outside of maybe Herblore, but I have a feeling that we're going to get other benefits around Herblore in the tree. If those relic pictures are accurate, I think one of them was the herb relic we had last year, so I don't know that I put a lot of importance here. Plus, even if you don't have this relic, and you do hunter rumors, you're still going to end up with a decent amount of herbs. We've got mixology on Varlamore as well, so like, I don't know. I don't think any of these are like crazy high priority skills. The Hunter one is probably the nicest of the bunch because I know how annoying Hunter can be, and it is going to help you get through Hunter rumors faster and get more out of them. I don't know, dude. I mean, it's really going to depend what it's up against, but I kind of feel like the other two tier 2 relics would have to be absolute stinkers for me to want to take this one. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. But this is where the relic board was yesterday for me. This is more bad news because Yeah, it appeared right there. So we lost our our like what I was hoping was going to be crazy production prodigy with lumberjack mixed in, and that also pushed our thieving one out. So, and I need to do a little bit of reshuffling and figure out where these are going to go. Okay, things have been moved. I feel even less strongly about this board, man. I feel like they just keep throwing curveballs at us for what these things look like. I'm questioning whether or not we're even getting like the thieving relic or like the agility relic this year. But I kind of suspect these two would make a lot of sense for the sort of like combination that we're seeing with Woodsman. Now, I don't know what skills they would get, but I'm like, probably we have something related to smithing attached to one of these because smelting bars on mining and processing the bars all in one go could be good. We might have something like crafting tied to one of these because crafting tends to be pretty slow. So processing your whole inventory, maybe you automatically cut gems while mining. I think we're going to see something like that in here. On the production side of things, I mean, cooking is still unaccounted for, so that probably has a spot in one of these other two relics as well. Yeah, but I'm not really sure how they're going to do that combo, so that's just going to be a little bit of a surprise. Oh, and what's that? There's a little trash can on there. I couldn't do full trash can on this relic. I mean, the hunter thing, it does kind of hold this one up, but it's feeling pretty close to trash can tier, if I'm being real. But that wasn't the only reveal we got today. Yes, we got an image for our first Echo boss. It looks like Varlamore is getting Echo Amoxliatl. Now, can I just say, I hope we don't have to have this level of gear to take on this boss, because normally Amoxliatl is like an early game boss, and I'm looking at this guy, I'm like, he's rocking like the Avernic Treads, Inferno Cape, full Inquisitor. I mean, oh my god. Like, if we have to roll up to Amoxliatl on that, I think we're doing something wrong, but we'll have to see. They didn't really give us much on this. Now, I do also find it interesting. They gave us a silhouette of some weapons here. And Amoxliatl, it is a Nagua, and the Naguas are known for dropping double hitting weapons. So I know a lot of people have been theorizing maybe we get some sort of like combination of the three. And with that in mind, I did Photoshop the three of them together. I don't know if I quite got this right. I mean, there's a point on that one. Maybe if I flip them around a little, it might look a little closer. Though I will say, honestly, the shape of this, it looks a lot closer to the silhouette than I would have expected. So maybe. Now, the other thing I'll say with this, in the past, we have also had things like last year with Echo Hispori, the weapon that we got there kind of looked like a part of Hispori, and there were a couple other Echoes, I think, that kind of fell in line with that. So this could also be a bait and switch, kind of like they've been doing with the relics. And maybe we're going to get like, I mean, Amoxliatl has this really cool looking spiky bit on here. I don't know what that would turn into as a weapon, but maybe. Now, since they didn't give us anything on the mechanics, I mean, oh, Amoxliatl, what would they even do for this? Amoxliatl, in terms of like an early game boss, does definitely have a lot of mechanics. You have kind of like the stuff spreading on the floor over time, so I'm sure we're going to see like an amped version of that. You constantly have to pray magic from the attacks. Amoxliatl can turn off your prayer and also summons like little chunks of ice that can explode if you don't deal with them. So I guess the easiest thing in my mind is amped up versions of that, but I know last year they got really creative in terms of like really expanding on what the bosses would do. I don't know. I'm not a game designer. I'm sorry. I don't know. I think at the very least we can expect all of the mechanics are going to be beefed up, but beyond that, I mean, they could really throw just about anything at us. Now, one other thing I'll say around this boss, the Heart of Darkness was not on the auto-completed list of quest, so we are still going to have to do that in Varlamore, and that requires 48 Slayer. That's not like a huge Slayer requirement, and we do have access to Xanaris, so you're going to have a Slayer Master at the start anyway, so you could try to rush towards this, I think. But I do find that a little interesting, because we have the Moons quest auto-completed, so I wonder, I mean, maybe you do Moons before you're coming here? I'm not really sure. Last year, I'm kind of imagining this is going to be an easier Echo. Last year when they picked the Echo bosses and they balanced them out, there were 3 tiers. There was Elite, Master, and Grandmaster, and they all kind of went in line with where the related boss fit into the game. Actually, let me pull up the wiki because I think there's a list on there. Okay, here's the wiki list. Now, you can see the different tiers of difficulty. So we had Elite, Master, and then Grandmaster. Oh, this does make me wonder if Echo Soul isn't making a return. I mean, I guess they didn't say whether or not we would have more than one Echo boss in an area, but I guess I was always picturing it was going to be one. I guess I don't know for sure. Oh, if that is true, though, That's kind of a pain in the butt for farming Coliseum, isn't it? Hmm. Well, anyway, back to the difficulty side of things. I think in general, these feel like they kind of line up with where they were in the main game, right? Like, Cow Queen, as annoying as she is in the main game to kill, the Echo version, I don't think it was like that difficult of an Echo boss. Same with like King Black Dragon, with Grotesque Guardians, Hispori, Thermonuclear Smoke Devil. I think all of these elite ones, they were fairly easy mechanic wise. Yes, you could get floored by them, and I definitely got floored a couple of times by King Black Dragon just because I didn't have enough stats to take him down. But things like the Hispori, like the Thermonuclear Smoke Devil, I think you took almost no damage. It might have been no damage if you did the mechanics correctly. So I'm kind of picturing for something like a Amoxliatl, it's probably going to fall in line with something like a Hispori or like the Smoke Devil. Just because the main version of the boss as well, I mean, there's ways to not take damage from it. And it's an early game boss, right? I can't imagine that they scale that up, but I mean, I guess they could in theory. Barlamore did have the Grand Master last year, man. Oh, that makes me question a lot about whether or not we're going to have an easy time farming the Coliseum. I hope we still have like the wave skip thing, because if you want the rarer rewards from the Coliseum, it's kind of time consuming. But okay, I'm probably rambling at this point. We'll just have to see. I hope we get more information on this, and it'd be really cool if we get to see like what the weapon is as well. But I suppose they're saving that for another day. So with that, I am going to be covering all of the leagues daily, so make sure to subscribe for that. I am also going to be doing a League's Progress series once the league starts up, so that'll be on the channel as well for you. If you want to tell me how wrong I am about the wood-cutting relic being absolute garbage tier, make sure to join the Discord. I'll have that linked in the description for you. And is that all of the things? I think I got all of the things. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.